Hey everybody, good morning. It is Rob. It is Saturday morning. It is freezing cold here in Denver, Colorado, but that's not what this video is about. This video is about the topic of cancel culture. Cancel culture is a nonsense term that conservatives are using to basically paint themselves as victims over practices that they've been engaging in since the beginning of time. I'm going to use some recent examples to point out where, at best, conservatives are just hypocrites when it comes to cancel culture. But really, what it is a play for power. They're using this idea of cancel culture to portray themselves as victims, and it's really just for them to build their own power and gain more power. And there's there's no pretense here from the conservatives that they're ever going to stop engaging in this behavior that they've been doing forever. They just don't like that more and more it's kind of happening to them. And they know that they can use the idea of, oh, you're being canceled, oh, to all their bullshit idiot followers to make those people feel even more aggrieved and victimized in our society. So let's look back a little bit. In 1967, the boxer Muhammad Ali refused to go fight in the bullshit war in Vietnam. He says, look, those Viet Cong, I have no quarrel with them. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to go fight. Muhammad Ali was charged and convicted of draft evasion. He was banned from boxing for 3 years from 1967 to 1970. Conservatives were the ones that were pushing this. They were outraged that this guy wouldn't go fight in this garbage war that should have never been started in the first place. All right, there's one example. Let's jump a bunch of years, a little less than 30 years, to 2003. The country music band, the Dixie Chicks, they were performing a concert in London. And they said, look, George Bush is a horrible president. He's awful. We're ashamed of him. Specifically, it was Natalie Maines. I believe she was the lead singer of the band on stage, said this. And they were just completely canceled out of the country music community. Country radio stations refused to play them. Now jump to now. There's a guy named Morgan Wallin. He was caught on tape saying a racial slur, and the same thing's happening to him, and all of a sudden that's cancel culture. But it wasn't cancel culture when it happened to the Dixie Chicks for saying they're ashamed of a Republican president. Interesting. Another example, 2016, the football player Colin Kaepernick decides he's going to kneel for the national anthem in protest of police brutality. Well, we all know, it hasn't been too long now, we all know what happened to Colin Kaepernick. In fact, the conservative hero, Daddy Donald Trump, the conservative cult leader, was the one that led the charge against Kaepernick to get him canceled from having a career in professional football. Speaking of Donald Trump, what about Kathy Griffin, the comedian? I've never personally found her that funny, but she was a professional comedian with a career. She could go around performing in clubs, performing in theaters, whatever venues were appropriate for her level of fame. But then she made the big mistake of posing for photos with a fake decapitated Donald Trump head all bloody. It was actually kind of amusing, probably one of the most funny things that she's ever done, in my personal opinion. I've never really been a big fan of her. But you'd think that all these anti-cancel culture warriors out there would have had her back. But no, they were the ones that were saying, oh my God, this is outrageous. This woman is doing this. And we can go all back through history. It's not a new thing. And usually, this idea of canceling people for things they say or do, it's usually throughout history has been conservative type people that are doing this. Martin Scorsese came out with a movie called The Last Temptation of Christ. Excellent film, But conservative Christians didn't like this movie, so they picketed and boycotted this, got it banned out of a bunch of theaters all throughout the country. What about Abraham Lincoln? The dude was literally shot in the head because he was president and led the Union in a war against the Confederacy so that they couldn't have slaves anymore. I know they like to talk about states' rights and all this nonsense, but it was about slavery. That wasn't cancel culture, was it? No. Because cancel culture, the term cancel culture, is just a bullshit farce. It's just conservatives acting like they're the victims when they're not. When really, they're generally the ones that have perpetrated this behavior on everyone else. Now, the argument can certainly be made that people should not be canceled out or banned or whatever because of things they've said or done. I am not making an argument to the contrary here. But for conservatives to be out there acting like as if they're the victims of this, and that it's just this egregious violation of their rights that this is happening all of a sudden, is just beyond disingenuous. And some of them know it. But others, the rank and file conservative lemmings, hopefully a few of which are watching this video, getting all flustered and pissed at me for saying this, they're just completely unable to see the reality of the situation. That what they've done and what they've engaged in and what they've supported over the years is not different suddenly just because it's happening to them or people like them. Get over it.